I'm Stuart, welcome to my channel. So normally you'll go on adventures and walks and stuff, but today I thought I would just do a kind of short video on, what addiction means to me, and I wanted to talk about my thinking and my brain, because it's still a bit wonky sometimes, and I think it's great to talk about these things. So addiction is described as a brain disorder or a brain disease, and I'm always a little bit uncomfortable with the word disease because it's like, ew. But a friend of mine once said, if you split the word, so dis-ease, and he said, that's how you felt, wouldn't it? And it was like, yeah, actually that's how I felt my whole life. I felt dis-at-ease with life. And yeah, so even though it's classed as a disease, and I think that medically it's classed like that because it's incurable, it's progressive, and if left untreated, it's fatal. And I know that personally. I've had friends die of this disease. So yeah, so what is addiction? It's any behavior, that gives a person temporary relief or temporary pleasure, but in the long term has negative consequences. And so it's to put it bluntly, it's a short-term fix with long-term negative consequences, and those consequences can be all sorts of things, like loss of job, loss of relationships. It could be your health, your finances, and these negative consequences, they relate to any addiction. Any addiction will have negative consequences. They might not show up straight away, but eventually they will start to appear. So how I like to describe like my alcoholism was like I was like a child with a security blanket, and alcohol was my security blanket. And so alcohol was the solution to my problems. And if you take my solution away, I'm just left with my problems. And so I held on to that security blanket like a little child. Mum's trying to take it away. I'm like, fuck off. No one's taken this security blanket off me. And so, and it was a problem. I didn't want to give it up. I just didn't want to give it up. I blamed everything else in my life apart from the actual thing that was causing all my problems. Yeah, so I guess like if you're thinking that you have a problem with alcohol or something else, a few questions you can ask yourself is, do I sometimes have a problem controlling how much I drink or how much I use? Let's say you set a target of like, oh, tonight I'm just going to drink half a bottle of wine. But you find when you open that bottle, you have to finish it. It's not something you want to do. It's not something you set out to do, but you have to, and so that's a good indicator. Another good indicator is if you have to lie about it. So if someone asks you how much you're drinking, if you can't be honest about it, then it's definitely something to look at, because most people, they don't have to lie about their drinking because it's not a problem. But if you have to lie about it, especially to loved ones or other people, if you're getting health issues, you have to go to the doctor, and he's like, how much do you drink? How much are you drinking? And you're like, oh, I just have a glass of wine on an evening, and you're drinking 2 bottles. It's something to look at, Something else is important. No one can tell you if you're an alcoholic or a drug addict. Like for me, it was very apparent. I slipped down the scale so far that it couldn't be blamed. I lost everything. It couldn't be blamed on anything else. Eventually I was hard-headed, and I had to take a look at, it honestly. I think that's the kind of first step as well, is being honest with yourself and others. And just, admitting, actually, hold on, I've got a bit of a problem here. I'm doing something against my own will. And that really is sort of addiction. And, another one is like, if you try and give it up, but you can't. And, and then so we're going to move on to like, we're we're going to move on. Oh, another one actually as well is if someone brings it up. So if someone brings it up and says, you know what, you're drinking a bit too much, and it pisses you off, you know, because what's happening is someone's trying to take away my security blanket. I'm like, fuck you, you're not taking my security blanket, and you'll defend it, and you'll use justifications, and I use justifications all the time. Like, you know, today's a sunny day, I'm gonna have a drink. Today's a rainy day, you know what, I'm gonna have a drink. You know, I had a shit day at work today, I deserve a drink. You know, I've had a fantastic week at work today, I earned loads of money, I'm gonna have a drink this weekend. There's no end to the excuses and justifications that I used to have a drink. You know, I'm happy, I'll have a drink. I'm sad, I'll have a drink. You know, poor me, like, oh, if you had my life, you'd drink as well. You know, get the old violin out. You know, it's crazy. No end of excuses for why I drank. And so when I tried to stop drinking, and you know, let me try and explain it really simply. I've got a brain, and it's in two halves. And one half creates horse shit. It's like a factory. One half creates horse shit and the other half buys it. And it is that simple. And changing, you know, the factory is quite difficult. It takes a long time. But the buying it side, so I create shit and my other half buys it. And so what you can do, what I do now, is, and I'm talking about that inner voice, the inner critic, or CBT, they talk about, you know, negative self-talk, and cognitive distortion. You know, I believe something to be true, but, you know, I don't really question it. And, you know, I think something's true, but really it's not. And so, you know, so the two ways that I kind of get over that these days, because automatic negative thoughts, you know, they're automatic. There's no control in the factory sometimes. It just churns this stuff out, but I get a choice whether to believe it or not. So an automatic negative thought would, you know, something pops into your brain like that. And you get two choices. You believe it or you don't. And so choice one, how you know, you can't stop these negative thoughts. They just come. But the solution, or how I get over that, is one, I just tell them, and this is the harsh way, when they pop in, I just go, shut the fuck up, brain. I am not listening to you anymore. That's not true. Shut up. And that's one way of dealing with it. And it works. It works for me, that one. Another one is like a compassionate way of like going, okay, thanks, brain, but, you know, I don't really believe that anymore, and I'm not that person anymore, you know, because I don't know why. And this is something else, let you in on something. So a couple of days ago, we went out for this fantastic walk, and it's on my channel. We went to Dancing Ledge, and I had the greatest day ever. Really fantastic day. It was beautiful, took some great footage. Came home, had a little look through the footage, decided it was too late to do it all. I was quite tired, and I had a fantastic day. And you know, I'm sitting on my bed, and I'm like, wow, this has been a lovely, lovely day. The minute my head hit the pillow, I've got a memory of me shitting myself in school and all the children laughing at me. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, where does this stuff come from? And so I'm like, okay, thanks, brain, for trying to shame me after I've had a fantastic day. You know, appreciate that, but I want to go sleep. Like, shut up now. And, you know, I went to sleep. But it's just incredible to me how powerful the brain is, how it will lie to me and try and convince me of other things. And that was especially true when I tried to stop drinking, because I blamed everything else around me. And, you know, it's this person's fault. Oh, if this person would just give me a break, I could stop drinking it. You know, if you had my life, you would drink as well. And it was just justifications and blame, and, you know, I didn't want to look anywhere but at myself. And a good step is have a good look in the mirror and say, who am I? What the hell am I doing? And what are my problems, and what do I need to do about those problems? And then just start, break them down, and be honest. You need to be honest about it. And I think another big one is we're always looking outside of ourselves to fix our problems, and our problems aren't outside of ourselves, they're within ourselves. And so you need to do some work. I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I really don't want to do that. There's many ways into recovery, and so you'll find your path, because they are there. The help is out there. Just go and have a look for it. When my car breaks down, I take it to a garage mechanic to get fixed. If my teeth hurt, I go to the dentist. If I've got a problem with alcohol, there's places to go for that. There's services. There's plenty of help, And yeah, so that's really what I wanted to say today. And I think with that as well, like, people can feel ashamed about asking for help. For a long time, I was like, how did this happen to me? How did I become an addict or an alcoholic? And I spent a long time asking questions that really were irrelevant. Like, was I born this way? Did my childhood make me this way? Did I have a predisposition for addiction? And the truth is, it doesn't matter. I ended up having an alcohol dependency and addiction. And so how it happened is not irrelevant. It is relevant, but it's not irrelevant right here, right now, because it doesn't stop me from doing something about it. And so, a person can drive themselves crazy saying, how did this happen to me? Addiction is a shame-based illness. So, it lives in the dark, and it wants you to feel ashamed, because then you'll drink more, you'll use more to get rid of that shame. And again, it's a temporary fix with long-term problems and negative consequences. And so, we have to do the things we're afraid of. And someone once said to me, I think it's a quote from someone, but and it was like, real courage is not the absence of fear. It's feeling afraid, but doing it anyway. And asking for help, getting vulnerable, sharing that, I'm in trouble here, I cannot see a way out of it. I was there myself, and there is a way out. So I want to thank you for watching. If I feel like there's anything relevant I can add in the title at the end here, I'll put them in. And catch me next time for my next adventure. Thank you.